like Tom Brady's jug machine hoax, this video required no CGI. Hey, welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm Brandon. The second least interesting NFL game happens tonight. Pardon, that's right, preseason kicks off with the Hall of Fame game. We've got the Steelers versus the Cowboys. Then real preseason next week. Now the Hall of Fame game is the most ironic game in sports. We get to celebrate Hall of Famers with some of the worst football you'll see all season by guys who won't even make the final roster. That makes sense. Now last night we were teased by some rando reporter that the Eagles were close to pulling the trigger and trading with the Texans for quarterback Deshaun Watson. I'll explain why that is false and why the only trigger they should pull is the one to blow up their own front office, plus NFL headlines and a couple legit reasons to actually watch the Hall of Fame game tonight. Or now, depending on when you watch this. That's good sports. Beep, boop. Please, don't subscribe to this YouTube channel. Today's episode is sponsored by CanadipCBD.com, and my code TGS20 will save you 20% off when you click the link below. What are Canadip CBD? Well, it's a tobacco-free, nicotine-free pouch that's also spit-free that you can get in wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, and American spice. My favorite is citrus, and my wife is all about that mint because it's got a little bit of a bite. Canadips are made with American-grown hemp to deliver CBD through the mouth, which you can get on their website or at your local Circle K. Here's what's awesome. Canadips is giving away an NFL game experience, so go to Canadips.com and click the Game of the Year link on the homepage to enter. A winner will be selected by August 31st. And if you win, you can go to any game in the NFL, any city, with a +1 that includes airfare, a luxury hotel, and great seats at the game. CanadipsCBD.com and click the Game of the Year link, or go to @Canadips on Instagram and click their link in the bio. Let's take a look at what's happening around the NFL via headlines. We've got talks between the Eagles and the Texans about a Deshaun Watson trade heating up. Some 22 hurdles to get over, but both sides are attempting to come to an agreement. A settlement, some might call it. Phillip Rivers is keeping the door open for a late season return to the league if the opportunity presents itself. And by opportunity, I mean he realizes the nightmare that is being at home all day, every day with 9 kids in the winter when they can't go outside and play. Robert Griffin III is joining ESPN as a broadcaster, but like Rivers is not ruling out a return to playing on the field. Sadly, Robert, I think the rest of the NFL is. Kenny Golladay pulled his hamstring and is expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks. See, that's what a proper time frame looks like, Indianapolis. Raiders stay on brand and sign 33-year-old defensive tackle Gerald McCoy, who missed all of 2020 with an injury. Now that's not a knock on McCoy. If healthy, I actually think he can still play at a high level, but the Raiders waived Arden Key and Maurice Hurst this offseason. Hurst is a promising young player the Raiders drafted in 2018, only to waive him in favor of a guy 8 years older than him, coming off a much more serious injury than him. Do not look at the Raiders through a prism of logic. If you do, it will give you a headache. Just like a bad headache will give you visions of this. No! 3 players for the New York Giants have retired since the start of training camp. Usually this only happens to the Detroit Lions. In the last 2 days, linebacker Todd Davis retired, and then center Joe Looney, who they just signed last weekend, decided to retire. Unlike Kelvin Benjamin, who unretired and then retired, Looney and Davis did not blame Joe Judge for making them hate football. They just didn't sign up for Fight Club, I guess. The Vikings released 2020 first-round draft pick Jeff Gladney after he was indicted for felony domestic abuse. It's hard to make a good domestic violence joke these days, so I'll just say the Vikings continue to make the wrong move every time in regard to their secondary. Washington has been looking for a new mascot for a year now. Well, look no further. Ted the Bird is here to provide divine inspiration. Ladies and gentlemen, the Washington Tedskins. Apparently, this little bird is now the football team's good luck charm as he keeps showing up for their training camp practices. And if that bird's smart enough to make a nest in Ryan Fitzpatrick's beard, I think luck will follow the football team. Speaking of feathers, the football team has also banned fans from wearing Native American headdresses and face paint while attending home games. Which is fine, but what happens if she shows up? How do you handle that, Washington? The team that finished last place in the AFC West last season, my beloved Denver Broncos, look to right those offensive woes by
a drill today where we were actually trying to throw incompletions.
What?
A drill today where we were actually trying to throw incompletions.
In similar news, local obese man tries to lose weight by actually eating more donuts. Buccaneers defensive coordinator Todd Bowles received a 3-year extension to remain with the Bucs. Last year was a huge year for him. His defense held the Chiefs to just 9 points in the Super Bowl, and Adam Gase made him look like Bill Belichick in comparison. Congrats, Todd. And in the final headline, we've got Dan Campbell's coffee order.
Well, normally what I do is I'll get 2 venti. I go to, Starbucks, I get 2 venti of the pipe with 2 shots in them. So black eye in both. That's what I come in with. That's how I start the day, so.
You know what coffee will keep you more jacked than Starbucks, Dan? You know what coffee costs even more than Starbucks, Dan? My coffee. Benchwarmer Brew. BenchwarmerBrew.com. Poll question, who drinks more coffee, Dan Campbell or former Jets GM Mike McCagnon? And those are your NFL headlines. All right, let's take a look at the Hall of Fame game coming up tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna watch some of this football game.
As Big Ben leads the Steelers.
Touchdown, what a throw!
Against Dak, Zeke, and the Cowboys.
Those guys aren't playing, so false advertising. I'd be much more excited to view the spectacle of Dak Prescott. We're taking a few reps, but he did not even travel with the team. They are being extra cautious with his current shoulder injury. Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger also not playing, no surprise there. So really, the guy I'm most interested in actually watching is Steelers' 4th string QB Dwayne Haskins. A first-round pick just 2 years ago, and now he's Josh Rosening to be the Steelers' 3rd QB on the roster behind Mason Rudolph and Josh Dobbs. We'll see what happens there. We will also get our first look at the first running back drafted in this year's draft, Steelers, Najee Harris. I've heard nothing but good things about Harris coming out of Steelers training camp, and if he has a great rookie season, he may be the most important player on the Steelers offense next to Big Ben and helping that team not crumble in December like they did last year.
Arson. My fault. Hey, we're all grown up. Stuff happens.
Did you see on that one run when it looked like you were hemmed in and then you were able to break it out?
That happened a couple times.
And the almost big story for the day, Deshaun Watson to the Eagles, which we now know is currently not happening. At about 10 p.m. last night, though, I thought the Deshaun Watson trade talks were real. I saw CBS Sports analyst Chris Trapasso tweet that the talks were heating up between the Eagles and the Texans. He's got that blue check mark, works for CBS Sports, and most importantly, shortly after he tweeted, I saw the polished jersey swaps popping up in my Twitter feed. Pro Football Focus dropped this beauty, and I was like, uh-oh, when I wake up in the morning, we're gonna be talking about Watson to Philly and the compensation and when it's happening. Now, if you remember back on July 26th, the Texans said they were willing to finally trade Deshaun Watson, which I covered here. But the truth is, a Watson trade would be incredibly complicated because of his 22 lawsuits. I did think the Philly front office would be crazy enough to take on that burden, but again, when I checked Twitter this morning and saw that neither Adam Schefter nor Ian Rappaport tweeted or retweeted anything about Watson, I knew this shit was not real or close to happening until one of those two short and powerful men speak it into existence on Twitter. It's not real. That's just how the football world of news works. After we learned this report was not true, I saw U Stadium respond to Pro Football Focus with a very rude reply. Not true, ass to mouth. Not true, ass to mouth? What does that even mean, U Stadium? Here's what the Texans and any interested trade partners are waiting for. Teams have to wait to make sure jail isn't a possibility, one source explained. That's a quote from Pro Football Talk about Deshaun Watson. Jeff Gladney was just indicted by a Texas grand jury, and that could happen to Deshaun Watson. So until that situation plays out, he's not moving. One of these three things will happen before a Watson trade occurs. All 22 lawsuits are dropped or dismissed. All 22 lawsuits are settled. Or because of the 22 lawsuits and the investigation, Watson is indicted by a grand jury and is placed on the commissioner's exempt list while the legal process plays out. Until then, nobody is trading for Deshaun. And that's the last time I say that. And if I have to say it again, it will be in a higher pitched voice. So you know I'm serious. As promised, I do have your Big Dick Patreon shoutouts for new patrons. Jordan and Jocelyn Berger Whalen. I know I already gave you a shout out, but you popped up again. Ben Hoff, Grunky with the 20 spot. Phanerothime with sounds like a virus my baby will get at 20. Sean with 20. William Allen with 20. Aiden Crandell and Alex Fodder again with 20. $20 at patreon.com/thatsgoodsports gets you into the That's Good Sports Patreon fantasy leagues. All of that information, if you want to play fantasy football against me, is on Patreon, so you can get that info there. And I think next week we'll try and do our Patreon Zoom hangout for all $10 donors. Okay, I want to address something. A lot of you keep asking, Perna, are you okay? You don't look so great. Are you okay? And let me just clarify here. The answer to that question is obviously no. No, I'm not. I've got a wonderful, amazing baby girl. She's almost a year old. But since she started daycare in January, she hasn't gone more than 3 weeks without picking up some bullshit virus, some disgusting thing that other kids bring into daycare. And we are right in the middle of another bout of shit. So, yeah, I don't sleep so good, and I look like this. And now you know why. So please, feel sorry for me. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. I'm on Twitter, @BrandonPerna. If you like talking bullshit to me, I will bullshit talk you all day on Twitter.